Okay, Jai Jagannath. Here we have.
Jai Jagannatha.
Okay, the question for this video. Let's see.
Okay. Yeah. So the question is, there is one chaupai in Ramcharitmanas,
Yeah.
which says "Jaki rahi bhavna jaisi Prabhu Murat dekhi tin taisi," and similar similar kind of text is repeated throughout. That whatever form one wants to have as
Yeah.
the realization of God, that form like that devotee sees. So some may see him as Ram, some may see him as Krishna or Shiva or whatever.
Yes.
So it depends on devotees, bhav,
Yes.
what bhav he has. So
More than vow, I would say desire, which is the translation, literal translation of the expression Ishta Devata.
okay.
Ishta means desire.
Hmm.
So it is the
So
form of God that the devotee wishes to contemplate. Yeah,
mhm.
this is true. Okay.
So, okay. So, based on this, Ethan, can't we conclude that it is maybe a mental projection we are giving to God's form? Maybe He is formless and whatever, this is
Yeah,
our
yeah, yeah, yeah,
mental.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
There are some
so,
people who think like that, but this is not. This is not a fact. There is a difference between the gross physical, the mental, subtle mental, and the spiritual transcendence. All three have a form, but the quality of the three forms is different. Now, it is
okay.
not that God doesn't have a form. The grammar here is very interesting, very important, because we cannot say that God doesn't have a form, but we can say that God doesn't have one form only. You see, the grammar is different. Like when we say nirguna, there is this famous idea nirguna, saguna, nirguna, nirvikalpa, like that. So nir means it's a negative expression in grammar. It's a negative expression. But the point is that the word guna can mean both material and spiritual. So it is like Krishna Chaitanya was saying, Achintya Bheda Abheda. So it is nirguna in the sense that the form, that the God doesn't have a material form, doesn't have a material qualities, is not subject to the gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas, but has unlimited spiritual qualities. So another name for Vishnu is Gunanidhi, the ocean of the qualities. It is not a contradiction. It may look like a contradiction, but only for people who are still very conditioned by the concept of duality. And this is quite ironic, because this idea that God has no form is presented like a non-duality philosophy, Advaita philosophy. But it is not true, because once we overcome duality, like Krishna is saying so many times in Gita. We understand that God is Saguna and Nirguna at the same time. God is Saguna because he, she, it, whatever we want to call, has unlimited qualities, all the qualities. And it is Nirguna because it's not subject to the material qualities, the material gunas. You understand? Is this what you wanted to ask?
Yes.
Okay. Now we can elaborate a little more. Let's see. Let's try to make it what to say, more understandable by the general people. The form of God can be perceived by us on three different levels. As I was mentioning before, we have the gross physical form that is called Vigraha. So whenever you go to the temple, or even you see, on Facebook, you have so many pictures, drawings, paintings, and you can even draw a painting of Vishnu. Nobody's going to stop you. So this is something that we can perceive on the gross physical level. Because anyone can see it. You don't need a subtle quality or a transcendental perception, subtle perception. You can see it. You can touch it with your hands. So this is one level. So the gross physical level is called Vigraha, and it is the visible deity. Okay. Then we have the subtle form. This is why the Shastras teach that a Vigraha can be also made of subtle matter, the mind, mental substance. You have heard in the Shilpa Shastra that there is a list of all the materials in which the Vigraha can be shaped. So it can be stone, clay, wood, metal, paint, or mind. So the mind is also considered a material, although it's not a gross material, it's a subtle material. So when we meditate on the form of God, of course we are projecting. We are shaping a Vigraha of God exactly in the same way as we can paint a picture of Vishnu with the pencil and colors, or shape the deity of Vishnu in clay or wood or metal or stone. That is the same. Only the gross physical material is easier to perceive for everyone, because everyone who is not blind, that is, if someone is blind, they cannot see it. Okay, but if someone has normal vision, physical eye, vision, view, they can see it, even if they have zero knowledge, zero spiritual realization, zero cultural understanding. They don't understand it's a form of Vishnu, but they see it is something is there. Is one statue, one form, and it has 4 arms like that. Oh, they can see. So this is a gross physical perception. The mental, subtle perception, the form, the Vigraha, that is in the mental substance, is more difficult to perceive because people need to use the mind to perceive it. And this is what we do when we meditate. If you have a look to, at my book, Puri, the Home of Lord Jagannath, you will see there is the system in yoga, tantra, and bhakti is that we have the antaryagya and then the bahiryagya. Antaryagya is the internal puja, the manasika puja. And then we have the external puja, that is the arati with the upacharas and everything. Okay, so there are two distinct operations that they can be put together, so you don't need to do them separately, but you can do them together. So when you do the puja externally, physically, you also have to meditate on the form of God, on the vigraha. Because if you don't meditate, then your puja will not have so much value. Are you following?
Yes.
Perfect. So this is a projection. We project, we visualize the form of God, the vigraha, in our meditation. So I think that you must have seen these festival pandal system that they have these temporary deities.
Yes,
For
yes.
the festivals. This is a very popular tradition in India. In some places more than in others, especially in Bengal, it's incredible. So this pandal system was developed because it was more difficult for Hindus to maintain a regular temple, especially in the areas that were under the domination of non-Hindu rulers. So the permanent temples were not so likely, so people would go sometimes in the forest or somewhere else, put up a pandal, put a temporary deity, and then at the end of, at the beginning they were doing the pranapratisha, at the end they would do the visarjana, and the deity was immersed in some water body, so nobody knew. Nobody else knew. Only the devotees, knew that they were doing this puja for a few days, and then all the evidence was, disappeared. But in ancient times, when the permanent temples were normal, the pandals were not popular. Well, there was no need for pandals. And the problem with the puja pandals, the temporary pandals and the temporary vigrahas, is that sometimes people make these vigrahas, they make the shape of these vigrahas not according to the proper knowledge and realization, but according to their own fantasy, speculation, projection. So I have seen baby Ganesh, as a baby, or Ganesh, dressed as a cricketer, because now Ganesh Chaturthi is very near, it's coming, in
Yeah.
So, I'm talking about, especially Ganesh, I've seen Ganesh dressed like a politician, a Congress politician, Nehru style.
Yeah.
I've seen Ganesh dressed as a cop, ordinary policeman, as a cricketer was like, as a baby, or but Ganesh was never a baby, And he was never a cricketer. He never played cricket. He never ran for the Congress, for the elections. He was never a ordinary policeman. So, but people make their own projections. In the same way, people sometimes it's more difficult, but usually I tell people, and some understand and some don't understand. Like for example, Krishna was black. So you see all these calendars, posters, and and pictures. Krishna is white. Sometimes I was telling people that Krishna is black, and you say, "Oh, you're a racist." Not really, because black is beautiful. Jagannatha is black. Rama was black. Krishna was black. Vishnu is black. So, what's the problem? Why they have to make it white? And this means that they have their own projections. So, what they are worshipping when they make a Vigraha of Krishna who is white, it's their projection. But it depends, because usually the old deities are not colored. The ancient deities were not painted, because the puja system required the application, the bathi, the abhishek, and okay, one sec. So the meditation during the puja is actually focusing on the form, the vigraha, that is made out of mind. So just like people can, feel a little free to make images of God according to their fantasy, their liking, they can also do that when they meditate. So as we were saying, in the ancient times, the deities were not painted, because one big part of the worship is the abhishek. The abhishek, the madhuparka, the achaman, it's all offering substances, especially water, but also some other, auspicious substances to the body of the deity. So if you apply, for example, you apply chandan, sandalwood paste. You apply chandan, and the chandan will take away the paint. So you have to paint and repaint and paint and repaint and everything. So in ancient times, the deities were not painted. So you'll find stone deities, what usually made of black stone. All of them, because it's a very durable stone. I think it's called chlorite. It's very auspicious. Or deities made of metal, which of course, that it is a color of the metal. It's no particular color. And another substance that was used widely was the ashtadhatu. The ashtadhatu is an alloy of different metals. So, of course it was not painted, because also people would receive and consume the charanamrita, which is the bath water of the deities, and if the deities are painted, people would drink the paint, which, is not necessarily a good thing. So when we have representative deities, big deities, such as you can see in modern temples, you have big marble deities that are painted, you know. Then you also have a small brass deities that are not painted, and that's the deities that are actually worshipped during the regular puja. You see the situation with Jagannath. Jagannath is made of wood and painted, and every year the deities have to be repainted. You know, and still the deities of Jagannath, the Daru Brahman, are not bathed every day. They're only bathed once a year. The Abhishek to Jagannath is not done to the deity, the body of the deity, but to the reflection of the deity. So the pujaka is keeping a mirror, and you know, looking at the image of the deity in the mirror. The Abhishek is given to the mirror, to the image of the deity in the mirror. You understand? So this is why people, you know, became a bit confused about the color, the complexion, you know, of the skin of the deities, because is Krishna black? Or maybe, oh no, black is bad, so Krishna cannot be black. And this is ignorance, you know, because black is what's the problem with black? Yeah, absolutely no problem. And the same way, Mahadev is white. You know, I see lots of images of Shiva Mahadev. They make him blue or black. You know, and Shiva is white. Karpura Gauram, right?
Yes.
So Karpura Gauram, Karpura is not dark blue in my book. So anyway, so basically this is why both the physical, gross physical, and the subtle mental forms of the deity can be projected a little bit and are more genuine in proportion to the actual knowledge and realization of the person who is representing, who is shaping the form of the deity. So someone who is very ignorant will project a picture, a vigraha, either physically or mentally, of, you know, that is not really genuine. But usually people are supposed to be trained properly through the study of the Shastra. So this is why Svadhyaya is important. You know, superficial, ignorant, foolish people who think they can meditate on God based on their fantasy are not following the system. The Yoga-Bhakti-Tantra system is based on the Shastra. And the Guru is supposed to teach these kind of things. If the Guru is not teaching this stuff, then it's not the Guru. What is he doing? Yeah. So this is the situation. Now we have the third level, the third platform of perception of the form of God, which is the transcendental level. Transcendental means that it's beyond the physical matter, it's beyond the subtle mental projections. It is coming directly from the heart, from the Atma, from the Paramatma. It's direct realization. That is why it's called Prakash. So we have the gross eyes, then we have the Shastra Chakshu, which is the eyes of the Shastra, and then we have the Prakash, the direct contemplation at the transcendental spiritual level. Now, On the transcendental spiritual level, once we have overcome the dualistic mentality that is a limitation of time, place, and individuality, then we can understand that God has all the forms, that all the forms are contained in God, and we can contemplate whatever form is more suitable to our service, to our rasa. We make sometimes the example of even an ordinary human being. Okay. Let's consider an ordinary human being who is a judge of the Supreme Court. Okay. Someone who has a lot of functions. The forms, the different forms of this person will be the different clothing. But together with the clothing or form, we got the name and the function and the feeling and the attitude and the mentality. It's not just the dress. Because when this person is dressed as a judge, then the name will be Your Honor. And the function will be to sit in judgment, to sit in court and take care of business. But when this same person goes home, removes the judge dress, goes home and goes to, see his parents. So his dress is different. His name will be son, beta. And his function will be to serve his parents, to be affectionate to his parents, respectful, take care of whatever they need, and so on. Then he takes leave of his parents, he goes home and he has his own children. Then his children will, he will meet his children in a different dress, in a house dress, very relaxed. He can be, in shorts or whatever, And his children will call him father. So it's a different name, different form, and different function. Because he is not going to behave with his children in the same way he was behaving with his parents or with the people in the court. And in the same way, he will have different dress and name and everything when he is intimate with his wife, or when he goes gardening, or when he goes swimming in the swimming pool, or when he had a different name when he went to school, and so on. So, if a normal, ordinary human being can have so many different forms and names and functions, what to speak of God? Are you following?
Yes, yes.
Good. So, God has all these forms, all the forms, but He is manifesting from time to time the form that is most suitable for each particular situation, for each particular devotee, because each devotee has a different relationship with God. This is called rasa. And this is why we cannot say that the form is invented by the devotee. if a devotee doesn't have sufficient knowledge, so he's still on a material level, so the devotee may actually invent something. Yeah. But that doesn't mean that it has to happen like that. A real devotee is actually meditating based on knowledge, because the Swadhyaya, the study of the Shastra, is important. Are you following?
Yes. But how devotee would differentiate whether it's a mental projection or it's a realization? How
That's why
he
we
would
have the Guru and the Shastra. Unfortunately, people think that reading the Shastra means just reciting or looking at the page without actually understanding what is written in the book. Because they have just to sit through the reading. They don't need to listen. What to speak of understanding. And in the same way, they think that the Guru is just someone they worship. I am a disciple of this and that, but they're not really learning anything from the Guru. But that is the problem. The original, genuine system is that Guru and Shastra are supposed to give us the proper knowledge. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Does this answer your question?
Yeah, it answers, but it is answered in a logical way, like what you explained, but still that doubt.
Yeah, because you need to actually experience the darshan.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, once somebody experienced and as in realized, that realization would be self-sufficient. He doesn't need any.
Exactly. But
Mhm.
if you don't get the proper knowledge first, you will not be able to understand what you see. You cannot, without sadhana, you cannot get darshan. Without studying, you cannot get prakash. Without studying the theory, you cannot understand the reality in practice. You need to know what honey is before you can actually taste the honey.
Mm-hmm.
Because theory is not sufficient, but it is required. So this is the work that I'm trying to do. I'm working on helping people to get the proper theory. Then they can verify by themselves. They can practice, they can do their own sadhana, they can experiment, and then when they have this prakash, they will understand. That is Krishna is saying, in Gita. When you have gone through, crossed over all these, the forest of illusion, whatever you hear or have heard will be not so important, because you've seen it directly. You have experienced it directly. So you don't need to speculate anymore. You don't need to make efforts to try to understand what does that mean, But understanding the theory is a preliminary step. It has to be done. It's like when you're learning to drive the car. If you don't have the theory, how are you going to do the practice? you need to know what is what. Like, using a computer, you need to actually understand the theory before you can actually do it in practice. But once you have done all these things in practice, then the theory becomes less important, because you got already what actually gave you the perception, direct perception. You're not going to unsee, cannot be unseen. Sometimes you have this paradigm shift, little games. When you have these pictures, we have one picture that could be interpreted in different ways. So normally you see it only one way. Like, for example, I remember this the first example, this picture that was showing a young lady, and an old lady at the same time, but it was completely different. And still it was the same picture. Until you actually see both meanings, both images in the same image, you cannot understand. You cannot see it. Then you see it and snap. Then, how? I was not able to see it before. But you need to know what you're looking for. There is another famous picture, the frog and the horse. So you have one drawing only, and you can see it as a frog or as a horse. How can it be? Yeah, it can be. Can be. Once you see both of the meanings of the same image, you'll understand how it works. And but you have to know that you're looking for a frog and a horse. So the theoretical knowledge is required. Is this answering your question? Okay, so if this is clear, any other question or objections, elaborations, observations?
No, I think that's enough.
Okay.
So probably once what I understand is, until you realize it, you can only question and doubt.
Yes.
You have to realize.
Yeah, until you actually see it, you have to rely on the guidance of someone who has already seen it. This is why the Gita is saying, Tattva Darshina. Tattva Darshina means someone who sees, who has seen, who is seeing the Tattva. Tadvidi pranipatena pariprasnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas Tattva Darshina. Tattva Darshina is exactly this. Until you actually see the Tattva, you need guidance. This you can get through Guru, ideally, if you cannot find a Guru, because there are not so many actual genuine Gurus around, then, you read the Shastra. If you are sincere, the Param Guru in your heart will guide you. But you have to study. You cannot go without the Guru, without the Shastra, and without the proper engagement in sadhana. It's just going to be a fantasy, as you said. Lots of people may have different opinions. You see, for example, the New Age movement. You know, there are so many New Age gurus around. You know, this neo-Vedantic, or you know, this usually they're cult, you know, personality cult movements. You know, these gurus are not teaching anything. You know, and if they teach something, it's sometimes it's actually even more dangerous. You know, some of these people teach that all religions are the same, so all opinions are good. Better not to learn something like that. You know, okay, children. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. It's good. It's good. Okay, so yeah, this is the fact. This is the system. Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo vidu sakalaneha mahata yoganashta param. So it means that this knowledge is transmitted from teacher to student, you know, from guru to disciple. But you know, it's the connection goes lost because not everybody actually attains the prakash.
Mm-hmm.
You know, many people, like Krishna is saying, Bahunam Janmanam Ante, Jnanamam Prapadyate, Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samahatma Sudurlabha. Sudurlabha means very rare. And what is the qualification? That per the Jnani means he has studied before. Jnani, you know, means he has the theoretical knowledge. Then, at the moment where the Jnani sees Vasudeva Sarvam iti, sees Vasudeva everywhere. Everything is Vasudeva. Vasudeva is in everything and everything is in Vasudeva. So, Vasudeva, as in Vishnu, is the sum total of all existence. When we say supreme being, you know, it's not just the being who is most powerful of all the other beings. No, it's a being that includes all other beings, just like the absolute truth is a truth that includes all relative truths. So the absolute being is a being that includes everything. So we you know, everything is Brahman, everything is Vasudeva. You know, Bhagavan is the manifestation of this Brahman. Is the origin, like Krishna is saying in Gita, Brahmanohi pratishtaham. You know, I am the foundation of Brahman. So it's not that the Brahman is originally non-manifested and then becomes manifest. That applies only to the material bodies. Like Krishna is saying in the second chapter, you know, when he's talking about how the conditioned soul takes birth. So he says in the beginning, all beings were non-manifested, then they become manifested, and then again they become non-manifested. But he's talking about the body there. He's not talking about the Atman. And in fact, he said that the Atman is Ajam, Avinashi, Tutadvidhi. It can never be destroyed. It can never become non-manifested. But at the same time, it is always non-manifested because it's not material. So this apparent contradiction is the key to help us break the barriers of our mind. Because basically, to actually attain this realization, this prakash, it's not difficult. We just need to break the barriers. This is why Krishna in Gita keeps saying, ahankar and mamatva. We need to break the ahankar and mamatva. Once we break this material identification and attachments, then everything is clear. It's just like when you want to see the Surya, you want to see the sun. You don't need to project the idea of the sun, invent the sun or whatever. You just break down the walls that keep you from seeing the sun. You understand? Just to get out of the cave. And then you see the sun. Sun has always been there. You don't need to invent the sun, to project, elaborate. It's not that the sun starts to become manifest when you get out of the cave. It was already manifested, but it was not manifested to you. You understand?
Yes.
So direct personal realization is important. This is why it's called self-realization with the capital S. It's a realization of the self that is Atman, Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan. We have to realize it. This is the realization, transcendental realization. It's not something superficial. It's not something mechanic. It's not a matter of faith. It's a matter of experience. That's why the Vedic way is so different from all religions. Because all the other religions, especially the Abrahamic religions, have nothing to say about realization. You just have to believe, You believe, you have faith, boss. That's the faith. But Hinduism is not a faith. It's a direct experience. We all need a little bit of faith to start. Just like we need a little bit of shraddha to buy, a train ticket. Because when you buy a train ticket, you give your money and you get a piece of paper. Or a screenshot or whatever it is. So, a piece of paper is not, doesn't mean you have already reached your destination. So you have to put some shraddha, you have to buy that piece of paper, you have to go to the railway station, you have to find the train, you have to get on the train, and you have to stay on the train for all the time it takes. And that all this requires shraddha, faith. Because if you don't have sufficient faith, you'll not give your hard-earned money to buy a piece of paper. You're not going to the railway station. You'll not get on a train. You'll not stay on the train for many hours, because what does that mean? You're not, you want to go from Pune to Puri, you're not in Puri. When you buy a train ticket, you're not in Puri. How do you know that you are going to actually reach Puri? How do you know? You have faith. It's an act of faith. So you need a faith to start, but at the end you actually have to reach Puri, get down from the train and experience Puri, because otherwise you cannot say I've been in Puri. It's not that you take your railway ticket and you put it in a frame and you hang it on the wall and you say, you see, I've been in Puri. No, you've not. You're not. You have to go through first you need faith, knowledge, and practice. So Shraddha, Jnana, Sadhana. And then you have the Prakash, you have the direct experience. And then you can say, yes, I've been in Puri. And there is no more question of faith. There's no more question of theory, of believing, of rejecting. No, that's Puri, because you've learned, you read about Puri, you've seen photos, you've seen, the tourist guys, you see, you get there and you actually verify, oh, this is the ocean. Yeah, okay. This is not just a picture, I can actually swim. Well, nobody swims in the ocean in Puri, but, I can take bath, I can get wet. Yeah, at least. So it's a direct experience. So at that point, whatever is written in the tourist guide is okay, you verify, maybe it's true, maybe not, but at least you came there with some knowledge. Because otherwise, how you are ever going to go to Puri? If you have no theoretical knowledge that such a place as Puri exists and it is there, and the Bay of Bengal and blah 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 blah, and the railway station, and then you have this Station Road, and you go to the beach and Swargadwar and this and that. How do you know? How can you find the beach if you don't know which road to take? Which train to take? Which ticket to purchase? You're never going to get there. So,
yeah.
if you go with the travel agent, if the travel agent is good, that will be a big help. If you have a good tourist manual, tour guide, tour book, then it will be a great help. But everything, you have to go through Shraddha, Jnana, Sadhana. And then you have the Prakash. Okay, does that answer your question?
Yes. But that brings me to another question, this last explanation.
Okay.
Of this Prakash, we say that direct realization that within this life it is possible, right?
Of course.
So, but then other thoughts also say that, theory of last thought, that at the last moment, if you think of Krishna or transcendence, you enter into that. So how, after life or within this life, how these two can go in parallel? Is it because if somebody has not done any kind of sadhana or anything, and just by chance, his relatives, and they do kirtan, or if he hears katha at the last moment, is it possible that he will liberate, or
no,
it will not?
No,
he has to do.
No, it is not possible. We have the story of Ajamil, who chanted once the name of Narayan. But first of all, he got a lot of training, in his youth, and he was a very knowledgeable person. And still, in spite of all the knowledge, the theoretical knowledge, and this and that, when the Yamadutas came and the Vishnudutas stopped the Yamadutas from taking Ajamil to the punishment to Naraka, still the Vishnudutas didn't take Ajamil to Vaikuntha. Ajamil had to actually go through the sadhana until he got the prakash. Because if we don't attain moksha while we still have a body, we are not going to get moksha when we die. Because at the moment we die, we are going to take birth immediately. It's not that when we die, we get moksha. Hey, no. Krishna in Gita says that the rebirth is certain. For one who dies, rebirth is assured. Because when we leave the body, we still need the body. if we have not overcome the ahankara mamatva, if we have not attained the transcendental realization of what we really are, the Atman, we are the Atman. We are the Atman, Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan. We in the sense of entering, Vishante Tadanantaram. But we have to do that while we still have a body. Because otherwise, at the time of death, we are still attached to the material body, and guess what? We're going to get another. Pronto, immediately. We'll not be able to go anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Moksha that is not the liberation from the body. Because this is a typical Abrahamic, confusion. That we are the body, so we are liberated from the body. No. Moksha means liberation from ahankara and mamatva. Because if you're not free from ahankara and mamatva, the gross physical body is only a matter of time. It's not that you may get it or not. You will get it. It's only a matter of time. So, this is the problem, because people are lazy. In Kali Yuga, people are manda sumanda matayo manda bhagya. They're foolish, ignorant, and lazy. So they think that because the falashruti of, Vishnu Sahasranam, Ramayana, whatever, says that if you just sit through it, through the recitation, then you get moksha. Yeah, well, eventually, after a few hundred lifetimes. It's not that at the time of death you automatically get moksha. No. You get another birth. That's sure. That's a sure. So if someone dies and the relatives and friends are, having a vigil, and they're having the shraddha and this, they have kirtan, bhajan, reading Gita and everything. That's definitely helping, because the person who's dead, the deceased person, is still around in the subtle body. And usually, when someone is recently deceased, they just died, they're very confused. Because death is very much like dreaming, sleeping, dreaming. When you wake up from a dream, you can feel you're confused, because you don't remember what. Oh, I was in the palace just now, But because you are not dead, you wake up from the dream, because you have a body to go back to. And the body has the Jagrati consciousness, awareness. The awaken, the walk awareness. Okay, the Jagrati. So, when you die, you don't have a body to go back to, so you keep dreaming. And it's like a dream. So in your dream, you are attracted to your, relatives and friends who are talking about you, they're talking to you, they're doing, you try to go back to your old place, house or whatever, family, whatever. And if the people in the house, in the family, are doing some bhajan or reading the Gita, you are there, but you can still hear them. You cannot talk to them because they cannot hear you, but you can hear them. And in the same way, when we offer the shraddha, in the Pitru Paksha, we are actually able to give some benefit to, the departed ancestors, whether they are on Pitriloka or if they are, in Pretaloka, if they are ghosts, or even if they have taken a new birth, they can still get the benefit because it's on the subtle level. It's just like when you have a family member who lives in another city. If you think about that family member, they will feel it. It's called telepathy. Many people can experience that. So that can that also happens different dimensions with people who don't have a gross body, or they took another birth. It always helps. It helps anyway. So it's always good, but it doesn't give moksha. It may give moksha from a ghostly existence, from because when someone is a ghost and they get reminded about spiritual things, and they get some sattvic desire to do something good in life, they can liberate it from the position of ghost, and we can say they move on. They move on and take another birth, but they are liberated from the suffering of being stuck as a ghost. They're not going to Vaikuntha. They're not liberated in the sense that they're free, they don't need to take another birth. They don't need to stay as ghosts, they can take another birth because they are getting the benefit of wishing to do something good in life. So they get another opportunity to take birth. Is that clear?
Yes.
Good. Any other question?
No, I think we are good for today.
We have, okay. Okay, so thank you for your assistance. Jai Jagannath.
Thank you for your time.